Hello and good afternoon. Welcome to Eyes Insight. My name is Zach Lee. I'm the innovation lead at Exa Innovation Studio's office in Los Angeles, California. And today we have a very special guest with us from Paris. This is Mr. Thibaut Mallet-Descheny. Thibaut?
Thanks, Zach. Yes, I'm Thibaut Mallet-Descheny. I'm managing director at the Paris office and head of research and innovation with the company.
And today Thibaut's here with us to talk about e-mobility. Thibaut, you recently began authoring a series of articles around e-mobility. And first, I'd just like to ask you, why did you choose to write about this topic?
Well, this is no news for any of our listeners. EV adoption has grown dramatically before, accelerated during the COVID-19, and this growth will continue afterwards, primarily driven by post-COVID packages like the Bidens, or regulation. EU just announced that they would phase out sales of fossil fuel vehicles by 2035. With this introduction of EVs on market, there will be also challenges to the charging infrastructure, obviously, but also to the energy production to cope with this demand, to also cope with the timing of this demand during the day, and also for electronic waste regarding the batteries. But there will also be many other industries impacted, hospitality, for instance, infotainment. And there will also be many opportunities for the players with the right assets and capabilities. So this is also an exciting time.
Yeah, I think looking just at the graph here in 2021, looking at the potential growth of the industry over time, there's a lot of exciting topics I think we can dive into. But first, we'd like to talk specifically about charge points. Could you explain a little bit about public charge points and what you mean by that?
Yes, so public charging in opposition to private charging is all the charging happening in public spaces. And this includes primarily two categories: transit locations and destination locations. These two categories will require two very different type of charge points. So for destination, supermarket, restaurants, workplace, you'll be commuting and 20-30 kilometers away from your place. So you just need to top up your battery. For touristic places and for hotels, you'll be probably staying there overnight, right? So for these destination locations, you'll require slow charging. You don't need fast charging, and probably a very cheap charger will be okay. And for these type of locations, AC chargers will be the primary solution. However, for transit charging, when you're planning a trip from LA to New York, you don't want to be spending 5 nights to get there, right? So you'll need to stop and charge your vehicle very quickly. Recharge your battery 80% within 15 minutes. For this type of use case, expensive DC, high-power DC chargers are required. And we'll see two different types of players entering these two categories.
Who are the key players in this industry? Who are you identifying as companies we should benchmark as we keep our eye on what's happening in e-mobility?
So this is the overview of the key players in the public charging space. The two key players: the CPO, the charge point operator, and the EMSP, the e-mobility service provider. CPO is primarily a B2B player. It provides installation, maintenance, and software as a service to charge point location owners, So the Tesco's of this world and the Marriott's of this world. The CPO is connecting also to the energy, electricity retailers, energy suppliers. And on the other side, we have EMSPs, so the B2C providers. They provide EV charging service to EV owners. They allow EV owners to go to the charge point and either using their credit card, a mobile app, through automatic recognition of their vehicle to recharge this vehicle. So who are the CPOs of this world? OEMs, famous example is Tesla, but also Volkswagen, they own Electrify America. And the primary purpose is to provide infrastructure for the car owners. Second type of player is all majors, for instance, Shell. These players acquired aggressively CPO startups to create this positioning as a defensive move. Of course, electricity retailers are involved. Examples are Iberdrola or NLX in Europe or PG&E in the US. And these players see EV charging as one, a cross-selling opportunity for the homeowners to whom they provide electricity, and two, an extension of their existing business by providing EV charging on the road. Finally, we also find independent players. Most famous one is ChargePoint in the US or EVBox in Europe. And these players grew through a very strategic location and customer selection, strong engineering, and lean operations. The EMSPs, actually the largest EMSPs are the CPOs. So ChargePoint is an EMSP, EVBox is an EMSP, NewMotion, Shell is also an EMSP. They provide service, B2C service on their own network, and they will also complement the service to their customers by collaborating with other CPOs, partnering with other CPOs, and all going through roaming operators. Collaborating with other CPOs, one example is EVBox, the largest EU CPO, is collaborating with ChargePoint, the largest US CPO. And this is a perfect fit. They are collaborating to extend the service to their customers. Let's talk about roaming operators. These players, primarily in Europe, are providing two functions. One is interoperability, and two, transaction intermediation.
Great, thank you for that. That's a very comprehensive overview of the industry and some of the key players. There's also some startups who are getting involved in the space as well. My next question for you, and my final question for today, is looking at this industry as it stands today. What do you see as some opportunities moving forward? If I want to get into the e-mobility industry, I want to get exposed to this kind of growth that we're talking about over the next couple of decades. What does a winning strategy for you look like entering into this market?
Thanks, Zach. You mentioned startups, and let's stay on this slide I forgot to mention on EMSPs, there are also startups that provide primarily smart charging solutions, bypassing the charge point. And such players are Jetlix in Europe or Flex Charging in the US. Now to your bigger question, the key asset to acquire is data. Being able to predict, being able to optimize when and how much and what to charge will have a huge impact in the future. What you can see in this slide is two examples of charging, EV charging. One is unmanaged, so just letting EV users charge whenever they want. And the other one is how it could be optimized if EV chargers are guided through pricing, through incentives to optimize when they charge the vehicle, basically. And this unbalance of demand and supply will have dramatic impact on the pricing of charging and electricity overall. This is, of course, driven by EV introduction, but this is also coming together with renewable introduction on the grid. One famous example is California. The demand on the grid is dramatically changing in the recent years. California has introduced several incentives to install solar farms, and many have been developed in the state. And this has had tremendous impact on demand. What you see here is the demand curve from 2013 to 2020 in California. During daytime, when the sun is up, the demand for electricity has gone down dramatically. It's obvious that if you charge your vehicle, let's say between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m., you could almost charge it for free, right? However, if you charge it between 7 and 9 p.m., it will cost you dearly. So being able to predict, optimize, incentivize, play around the pricing to optimize when people are charging their car or even fleets are being charged. This will have a huge impact on the electricity industry, on the car industry, and on the society overall. And we'll cover that in more details in future articles.
And we very much look forward to hearing about the rest of the e-mobility industry. Diwa, thank you so much for your very thorough overview of charge points and brief introduction to the e-mobility landscape. We appreciate your time this afternoon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Zach.